Okay, to start the Dhamma talk, everyone may consent with 3 times, sadhu, sadhu, sadhu. Namo tasse bhagavatu arahato samma sambuddhasse. Namo tasse bhagavatu arahato samma sambuddhasse. Namo tasse bhagavatu arahato samma sambuddhasse. Dhammo have rakhati dhammachari dhammo suchinno sukhamavahati etani sansa dhammo suchinno na duggatin gacchati dhammachari. Dear Dhamma friends, to this evening talk, I took a quotation from the Pali Canon, specifically from the Jathakaya stories, and this you can interpret either in the worldly conventional manner, or as a meditator, or still as a very high profound Dhamma also. As far as this quotation you find in the Jathakaya stories, I hope that you all know little about the Jathakas. That is usually given not for the serious meditators or not for the serious Buddhists. It is just the stories to pass some kind of good concepts, some philosophies in terms of storytelling. Jataka stories are the previous lives of the Buddha or Buddha to be. This Jataka is known as Maha Dharmapala Jataka. There are 495, generally it is called as 500. 95. And there are 2 Dharmapala Jatakas. One thing is called as Chula Dharmapala. This one is known as Maha Dharmapala. I will just narrate the story at the beginning so that everyone can get the background, the historical situation. Once upon a time, when the Buddha to be was busy in perfecting his perfections, was born as a boy to a well-known family. The family name was Dhamapala, and in this proper time, in the due time, he was sent to the close by academic place. For example, in the modern term, we can say the university, and it is only limited to the well-to-do families. So it is a long journey, and after trotting the long journey, he reached the professor and studied to become an all-rounder, the theory, the practice, professional, and all the kind of thing. Often he used to say, the young boy used to say, even though I am away from the home, away from the family, away from the basic cultural background, I have no any danger to my life. There won't be any kind of premature deaths for me. I am about to live to the whole full life, the long life. And the teacher, the professor, was quite confused as to see how can such a small boy claim this kind of thing. But anyway, he was very confirmed, and he is dead sure he will never meet up with that premature death or any other mishaps in the life. So he took care about the boy and gave all the necessary education, the training, and all the kind of thing. And one day he wanted to test this. So what he did was, after a long time, the teacher reached the parents and told them, I am very sorry to tell you, your child who sent to me as a student, as a disciple, has a premature death. So, being it is a long distance, it took so much of time for me to carry the message as a proof or as a evidence, I bought his bones to show you as remnants of his body. And the parents start laughing. They never accepted it. Then the teacher told, I am a serious person, I am a professor, and I am telling you the truth. And these are the bones, and he's died and decayed, and these are the remnants after cremation or whatever. But the parents were never ready to accept this. And then the professor keep on asking why you all are not accepting this kind of a mishap. They are common in the society. People meet up with mishaps, calamities, and premature deaths, and all the kind of things. But they told that in our family it is never. We never expect, because we have our own rules, our own cultural practices, our own good deeds. So we do it to the rule, to the letter, and therefore for we people there is no such mishaps in the life. So ultimately it was a good lesson to the teacher, and the parents gave him the story behind why they have been protected from Dhamma, even though the other society, those who are not morally responsible, they are not behaving properly, undergoing this kind of mishaps and all the kind of thing. And they are sure they are morally bound, morally responsible, and therefore they are not undergoing this kind of mishaps. So at the end of the story, the parents, specifically the father, he uttered this stanza. He says, Dhammo have rakhati dhammachari. He says that Dhamma will protect the Dhamma protector. That if you are abiding, if you are living by certain amount of rules, it's conducive and good for the society, definitely you will be protected by that very rule. So the rule or the truth, usually in the Pali Canon, we recognize as Dhamma, and as laity, the Dhamma explained, the lay people have three kinds of spiritual and religious activities, namely Dana, Sila, Bhavana. Dana means the generosity, the donations, and it's a part and parcel of the religious life of the laity. And the Sila is the moral conduct or morality and moral responsibility. So each and every family has their the family code, and the society has their own civil laws, and religious people have their own precepts, the commandments. So these are also yet another way of restrainment. The last one we call meditation, the bhavana, and each and every positive religions have their own way of meditation. So, as lay people, those who are living in household life, raising up children, and doing farming, business, and all the kind of thing, has to have this kind of rules and regulations or conduct. Then only they can have assurance of protection. Otherwise, they are vulnerable. Otherwise, they have to live life with full of fear, full of uncertainty, full of chaos, full of presently we call frustration or tension. So if you are abiding by these three trainings, the dana, sila bhavana, generosity, the moral conduct and the meditation, then and there you can have your own contentment, satisfaction and the peace of life. So they have the one-to-one relationship. Whenever you become a serious person, for example in the Buddhism, if you become a meditator, part-time meditator, or full-time meditator, or becoming a monk, or go to a forest, or come to a retreat center kind of thing. These trainings are a little changed and they are more refined. They call Sila Sikha, Samadhi Sikha, Panya Sikha. For the laity, for the commoners, it is Dana Sila Bhavana, generosity, moral restrainment and the meditation. But for the meditators, for the yogis and yoginis and for the monks, it is called moral training, concentration training and wisdom training. And now we, here in the Sri Lanka Rama, in the Singapore, we are now paying our attention and take time for retreats. So therefore, we can claim we are much geared our time and our all the thinking towards this moral training, concentration training and the wisdom training. The particular, the story that I cited based on this, the lay life, that is about Dana Sila Bhavana. So either you can interpret this Dhammo Have Rakhati Dhammachari, the saying, the Dhamma protector, in with respect to the lay life or with respect to the meditator's life. So I thought, I don't know whether it's fair or unfair, to take the time to explain it from in terms of meditator's point of view. How the moral training or restrainment regarding the morality going to protect you, and how the concentration training going to protect you, how the wisdom training going to protect you. Yesterday also, for the evening talk, we got a almost similar kind of a topic. It says that if you protect the society, society will protect you. And if you protect yourself, you are protecting society. If you are protecting society, society will protect you. For such kind of a protection, for such kind of a religious and spiritual protection, for the foundation of mindfulness is the way. The mindful life is the way to protect oneself and to protect society in the spiritual, in the mutual way. So, for today also we can say, if you protect the moral restraints mindfully, you will get kind of a protection justifiable to the moral level. If you go higher up and protect moral concentration, moral restrainment as well as the concentration restrainment, then you will get a higher kind of a protection in par with moral and concentration. Still, if you go to take up all the three trainings, all the three protections, moral restrainment, concentration restrainment and the wisdom restrainment, you will get the highest kind of protection. So, whenever you are taking this morality or moral restrainment, that what you do is not to give any fearfulness to the others. That means that if you have no any moral conduct, if you have no any moral restrainment, moral responsibility, you may tend to kill animals, steal, and have or indulge sexual misconduct. And these are called the physical misdeeds. And together with that, there may be some verbal misdeeds, the lying, slandering, frivolous talks, and harsh words. So, each and everyone simply, one can say, creating fear, creating uncertainty, creating unprotected situation to the society. So therefore, each and every physical and verbal misdeeds leads to fearfulness. Knowing that no one likes this uncertain, fearful situation, if you take care if you take the responsibility not to give fearfulness, what in return you get is the fearless life. That is what we call peace of mind. That is what we call the lack of tension, lack of frustration, freedom from frustration, and freedom from fear. So these things, many people consider as a highly spiritual, highly religious, and therefore we are living in such a mundane life, secular life. It will be a very big and unreachable kind of states. But even though each and everyone think it has a very big, higher task, everyone wish to have fearlessness. Everyone wish to have peace of mind. So that is the point where each and everyone has to arrive at a compromise. How can we reach such a thing in this very life? How can we reach such a peace of mind and the life free of frustration without the help of the second person? By oneself. So that is the point. The first and foremost, as far as the meditator is concerned, the moral restraint. Whenever you are going to commit that kind of misdeeds, physical and verbal, what happens is you are spreading fearfulness, uncertainty to the society. So such a person may justify the killing, telling that I am killing for the meat or beef or whatever may be. You may be killing for the hide or other parts of the animal, or you may be killing for the sportsmanship, whatever may be. So therefore, you feel kind of then and there satisfaction. But ultimately, when your deeds, misdeeds, going to mature and going to give the bad consequences, then you may feel, you may experience it is unfair to have so much of bad things, so much of fear, so much of uncertainty, and so much of suffering in the life. So Buddha simply explained, if you are to give fear, you must expect fear in return. Good begets good, bad begets bad. It is not a creator, it is not a second person manipulating it. It is a kind of a universal law. Good begets good, bad begets bad. So whenever someone not ready to accept that very simple principle, he will never be abide by moral conduct. He whoever ready to consider it and implement it, definitely will be a moral person. That's a general norm in the society. So, for example, that we have never heard this kind of thing, we have never exposed to this kind of thing, therefore we used to often kill, we used to often steal and misconduct of sense indulgence and verbal, and then on and off we get the fearfulness. And after listening to this kind of a principle, we may restrain ourselves not to give fearfulness to the others. So, in return what we get is the protection, the Dhamma protection, by up to the level to your moral restraint. Whenever you are irresponsible, whenever you are not taking the responsibility about the moral conduct, the scripture says you are always suffering with 4 kinds of fears. One thing is Attanuvada Bhaya. Attanuvada Bhaya in Pali means your self-criticism. Whenever you become sick, whenever you become old age, whenever you be confined to deathbed or sickness or darkness, solitude, your internal criticisms to yourself increasing, And it is ever growing because you feel like alienated. You feel like aloofed. And you feel loneliness. And that is due to the fear. So many people use many habits or addictions like alcoholism, smoking, many things in order to get rid of this loneliness. But ultimately what happens is, even though it is going to give a temporary kind of relief, ultimately end up with the nasty kind of addictions, and situation go ruining in an accelerated manner. That is how we keep on doing all the kind of hobbies and habits and all the addictions. That's the escapism from the self-criticism. This is first and foremost. All the people, those who are indulging, entertaining and committing misconducts, it is a very obvious factor in the society. They are behind this kind of addiction, escapism. The second kind of fear is paranuvada bhaya. Paranuvada bhaya means you are being criticized by the other civilians, telling that you are violating and creating turmoils in the society. So ultimately, whenever you are going to do physical and verbal misdeed without any control, the society will outcast you. Specifically, the ancient or old traditional societies, they live like a family, they live like a community. So therefore, if you are outcasted, it's a heavy, the psychological heavy burden. But I don't know how it is in Singapore. You all are living completely already isolated, and family integrity is already broken. So therefore, the impact may be less. But overall manner, when you are in the office, if you are working in the office of the other people, look down and outcast you, it's definitely a psychological cost. And the family, in the community, the temple and everywhere, so it's a kind of a psychological cost. So one has to keep up their moral life, otherwise the people will look down. This is the second fear. So many people advertise themselves and they try to show, I am a moralist, I am a Samaritan, I am a good person in the daytime, but in the night time, completely different story. So that is just to shape up or uplift the facelifting in the daytime in front of the people. But in the night time, they think it doesn't matter because it is not being exposed. But this is not simply the working in front and behind separately, but your heart, your mind knows how much you are cheating yourself. So moral restrainment is to go beyond this kind of limits, whether it's day or night, whether in front of people or not, you must abide by the moral conduct, then only you can claim the free of the second kind of fear. The third one is the Dandabhaya. Even if you hide, if you can play seek and hide game with the society and still doing physical misdeeds and the verbal misdeeds and still represent yourself as a good Samaritan, one day you will caught up with the penal code, the civil law, and you will be punished. You will be taken to the police and you taken to the court and trial against the law, and then you will be punished. And that is also always lingering behind, hovering behind. So therefore, those who are violating the society, always in uncertainty. The present day society is so corrupted. You can do something to escape yourself from this internal criticism, self-criticism, and the social criticisms, or even bribing against this social, the civil law. But last one is, anyone who accepts the good begets good and the bad begets bad, they knows, even if you hide during this life, after this life you will go to the nether world, we call hell, and there no one can help you. So therefore, all the time these 4 kinds of fears are there. When and where you start the moral restraint, honestly, wholeheartedly, you will be free from these 4 kinds of fear. And that is what we call the spiritual contentment. It is what we call the satisfaction, contented life. So for that, you must have not only the tangible wealth, that is called amisa sukha, that is material pleasure, but you must have that kind of spiritual pleasure also. Otherwise, your whole life is paralyzed. This paralysm happens due to these 4 kinds of fears. So, these 4 kinds of fears definitely responsible. Oneself is responsible, but when it is come to the maturity and going to give the bad consequences, and you have to suffer a lot. So that is why the Buddha and the other religious masters show the mechanism and say, take care about your physical and verbal misdeeds. That is what we call moral restraint, sila sikha. And that indicates your level of civilization, your level of gentlemanship, gentleness. Otherwise, the society will brand you as barbaric, uncivilized, unruly person. So, it is individual responsibility. If you protect the Sila Dhamma, you will be protected by Sila Dhamma. In the sense, if you protect the morality as your conduct, and as your compendium of rules, you will be protected up to that, whereby you will entertain a fearless life. Otherwise, the fear is there. The Western psychology simply says, all the mental diseases are due to simple factor of fear. So you can understand, even though we are claiming this is as a information technology, highly modern society, full of infrastructure, and you can say at what accelerated rate people leading to this frustration and the tension, more and more leading to the tension, because we become less and less responsible towards the moral conduct. So if you all wish as householders to have a contented life and the peace of mind for your second generation, not only that you have to give a wealth, not only that you have to give a dowry, you have to set an example. You have to be a role model that you all are living physically happily and healthy also. The health is, the mental health is basically related with this moral conduct. So last time when I go to the USA, I met Venerable Bhikkhu Bodhi. I know most of the people, those who are reading the Buddhist books, they are very, it's a well-known character. So when I go there, I complain him and I accuse him, telling that, one day I heard that you are criticizing meditation, and why is that? Then he told, no, Dhammajiva, I am never criticizing meditation as such. What I am telling is, the Americans are rushing more and go in accelerated rate for vipassana meditation or insight meditation without moral conduct, without generosity. So how can such a insight meditation can be sustainable without a proper base? So therefore what I am telling is, keep the moral life in the balance. You have to have generosity as a laity. Generosity means consideration of the well-being of the others, sharing, and donations, generous. That must be part and parcel. Without that, how can you understand the suffering of the second person? How can you make your mind not to kill, not to steal? Whenever you generously cooperative with the others, you understand and appreciate others' well-being, others' health and everything. So how can you think about killing others? So therefore, generosity is leading to the moral conduct, not to kill, not to steal like, and that gives contentment. Such a person only such person can think about concentration training. So it happened me to talk about 3 to 4 hours to agree upon. So I took a different stand. I told Bhante, even without the generosity as a basic trait, even without the morality, if someone start with the mindfulness, I told that there will be a fresh chance for such a person, such a mindful person to rethink, reorganize, reorient his or her life to become generous, to become virtuous, morally responsible. But Bhikkhu Bodhi told, now we have experienced about 20 to 30 years of meditative history in America. There is no such a trend. People never develop generosity. People never think about moral life. So therefore we have to give the proper weight on the, just like when you are going to build up a skyscraper, you have to have a very good foundation. Otherwise, you can't keep on building. So it was a very nice conversation to talk each other. I don't know how much it is applicable to the society like in Singapore, and how much people are responsible for their moral life. And in that sense, my remarks are, my observations says, parents are more accusable. They are more vulnerable because they are not setting good examples. Therefore, the moral background, moral backbone of the children are very weak. And parents being the forefathers, the precursors and the teachers, they have to set examples. And if you take an example like Italian kind of thing, and their morality is gone to a very bad status, but some of the very elderly people, they say this downfall happened within last 40 years. They can very well remember their grandparents and relationship, they were completely morally bound. But now for the 20, 30 years, it is in the downfall, and then so much of frustration, so much of the epidemic diseases, and the society as well as individual have no the moral sound background. So therefore, when it is coming into a trend, of course, very difficult for individual family or individual person to completely turn the trend. But we can protect ourselves, just like that particular Prince Dhammapala. He claims our family maintain our own family rules and compendium of rules. Therefore, we never confront with premature death. We never confront with other natural disasters, because we are abiding. We are living, abiding the moral codes. So, talk like this is definitely aimed at the society at large. But even there are few number of people listening, only 1 or 2 may take it seriously. That is enough. That is enough up to him. Or yet another way we can say, if you are performing generous action, you will get protection proportionate to the generous action. You will never get the protection proportionate to the moral conduct. Instead, if you do the generous activity as well as the moral conduct, you will get the higher kind of protection up to the commitment you do. There is no bonus there. It is one-to-one relationship. It's very scientific. If you look at and perform seriously, you can see more and more you get committed into the Dhamma, or more and more you committed into the restrainment, namely the moral concentration and wisdom, you can reap the due results. So, moral conduct, definitely, as a summary I would say, take care about your uncertainty, your fearfulness. And whatever the fear, whatever the uncertainty, whatever the frustration oncoming upon you, do not try to attribute to others or to the past or the future. It has its own due course. Whether you accept it or not, that is the point where you have to have faith at the beginning. But once you go into the insight meditation with the mindfulness, you will see the direct and close relationship of each other. Though you start with the faith, ultimately it becomes a verifiable thing. A verifiable faith, how much you become morally sound, so much so you get fearlessness. So ultimately when it comes to the good momentum, the person who has who do not suffer the fearfulness and the uncertainty can reach any society, any group without any hesitation. In the modern example, you can say, whenever you are facing an interview, whenever you are answering a question paper in the exam, your mental background is quite crucial in your answer script for a successful answer script. And you are facing with the interviews. Whatever the learnedness, whatever the memory capacity you have, if you are not present, you are pleasant and present in the moment, they will never be at help of you. So therefore, to reach any elderly people, any spiritual people, any heavenly people, any higher heavenly people, beings, nothing to worry as far as you have your moral integrity. And once you develop, yet another thing you will understand, you can pass it to your dear and near ones. They themselves has to restrain themselves according to the moral conduct. So therefore, even within a family, you all are maintaining this, protection will go up to the extent that you commit yourself towards the moral conduct. So it is going to give a physical and mental health. Whatever the present existing state, never mind. That can be a base to start. So therefore, when we see our neighbors, those who are not abiding, not respectful to the moral rules, conduct, we can't consider them as lowly beings. We can't consider them as inferior, because the moment they understand, the moment they communicate with the idea, they can change. Even if you consider you are morally sound and good and superior, next moment, everything may collapse. Even though you have maintained for a long time. So therefore, this moral conduct or moral restrainment subjected to the impermanence. So therefore, you have to sympathize all the others, not only that, you have to sympathize yourself. In my life, in the 26th, at the age of 26, when I being introduced by this mindfulness, I accused myself as an immoral person. In our country, in Sri Lanka, 5 precepts are the norms. They are the datum line. And I am sure I have already broken all the 5. It is just on the experimental basis. But even then, my good teacher, the friend, well, never mind, you do it mindfully. And slowly I found that if you are going to do even the bad thing mindfully, it becomes very difficult day by day. More and more you become mindful, you can't violate the social normal rule, the moral rules. Ultimately, you naturally come to the healthy level, and then you can see any person can change at any time. It's a matter of teaching them or enriching them and sharing with them that each and every human are equal. Anything can happen at any time at the moral level. So don't develop inferiority complex telling that we are not morally high beings, or don't develop the superiority complex telling I am morally higher than others. That is not the basic idea to develop conceit, but to be moral, thinking not to share the fearfulness with the others, not to give fearfulness to the others. Always think about the well-being of the others. Then you will be protected by in terms of lack of fear. But as I mentioned, this moral integrity is subjected to the impermanence, so it sometimes goes high, accelerating in the healthy manner, sometimes decelerating, and you will be disheartened and disturbed. And if you look at carefully, you will understand your mental frame is closely related with this, related to this moral conduct. Without training your mind, the physical, verbal training, restrainment itself become very superficial. So, if you wish to make your moral conduct durable, lasting one, later you have to give consideration to the mental training, mental culture. The early part of the mental culture we call the concentration training. The concentration training means even though the defilements not gone up to the transgressional level, you can feel whenever your mind get obsessed with the defilements. These kind of defilements come up to the obsessional level are called Nissaranas or hindrances in the literature. Just like 5 precepts for the lay life, there are 5 Nissaranas or 5 hindrances recognized in the concentration training. That is called Kamachanda, Vyapada, Thinamidda, Uddhacha Kucca Vicikicca. The sensuous desire, the hatred, sloth and torpor, and restlessness as remorse, and the doubts. The early kind, which is related to the moral conduct, that is the transgressional kind, whenever you commit, other people can see. But when the hindrances come and obsess your mind, only you can see, but outsiders cannot. So therefore, if you are not sensitive, or if you are cheating others, or if you are trying to act like that you are a Samaritan and good person, you will easily overlook them. But being meditators, we become very, very vigilant, diligent to see as and when the sensuous desire, the hatred, the sleepiness comes, we try to recognize them as Dhamma or mental factors. First and foremost, you have to understand them, and once understood, there may be some antidotes, and then you can, by concentration training, you can suppress them. And then, for a given period of time, you can experience, entertain a mental stream or stream of consciousness free of hindrances, free of all these obsessional kind of defilements. And that is what we call immaterial pleasure. The sensuous desire and all the kind of thing are related with your senses, related with materiality, and that is what we are being taught in the schools as luxuries and achievements, economic, political and social. All the the secular subjects are talking about material pleasure. They never prescribe you to go to the forest. They never prescribe you to go under a tree and sit silently, close your eyes and focus the attention to the objects. That is never you find in the secular subjects. But that is what we call the spirituality. That is what we call the religious life. And those who have understood the advantages and disadvantages of moral and immorality and the material pleasure, they will confront sooner or later about this immaterial pleasure you gain through this concentration training or by suppressing these 5 hindrances. It is being called Ditta Dhamma Sukha or Viveka Jampiti Sukha. The kind of spiritual pleasure you get out of solitude. Being free from this, the busy society, and you go there and develop kind of a concentration. Whenever such thing happens, you will understand it is incomparably superior when compared with the material pleasure. And highlight it, to emphasize this, it says the immaterial pleasure is only applicable for human beings, not for the animals. They can't communicate it, they can't restrain themselves, they can't do anything. So therefore human beings evolved, go on advance compared with the animals. They only they can successfully achieve this state of lack of nivaranas or concentration or immaterial pleasure, and then only they will really, we can say, full-fledged human beings. When I was in Burma, when they are going to discreetly or discriminately explain this material pleasure and immaterial pleasure, they say the people, those who are indulging only the material pleasure, is like a person with one eye. They also can see, but not the depth. They can't see 3D. They can see flat. Those who have the material and immaterial, they call the people with 2 eyes. They can see the depth. They can see the depth of the humanity. So therefore that Master ultimately told, if anyone deciding upon others, if anyone is judging upon the others, he should have at least developed this immaterial pleasure. Go to the jhanic experience, otherwise any decision you are taking or making with a one-eyed person, just like a one-eyed person. So therefore all the judges in the world should have developed jhanic experience, he says, then only they can decide, they can judge about others' affairs. But unfortunately, I doubt. The majority or total amount of judges are completely out of meditation. They get qualified from the law college, so therefore in Burma they say, there is no lawyer who is not lying, there is no doctor who is not dying. Every lawyer is lying, every doctor is subject to death. So from them on the judges are gone. So you can expect what kind of a decision, what kind of a judgment they can make. The Buddha presenting the material pleasure related to the moral training, and then the immaterial pleasure related to this concentration training, and that is the world. It was before the Buddha, before the arising of the omniscient one. Then he invented the third kind of training and third kind of a pleasure. That is called Avedita Sukha, which comes out of this insight meditation. The insight meditation is the what we are emphasizing as the intrinsic characteristic of the Buddhism. The specific characteristic of the Buddhism amongst the other denominations or the religions. But it is not free of, it is not aloof of moral training and the concentration. It is rather surmounting of the same. Moral training leads to the concentration training. Concentration leads to the wisdom training. In the concentration training, our aim is to suppress the obsessional kind of defilements. Our immediate result is the immaterial pleasure. But in the inside meditation, your aim is to see things as they are. Whenever you see things as they are, there's no chance for a frustration. There's no chance for tension. So you become down to earth. You will never chase behind the luxuries. You will only see the utility value. So you never lead to the consumerization. You never lead to any bad habits. And you will never lead to bad role models. But at the concentration, at the insight level, not like morality, it is happening in only in one dimension. Here now I am. You can take care about yourself. But in the moral level, you can set examples and you can ask and you can share with the others. But when you go to the inside meditation, it comes onto your own shoulder. Here now I am. Therefore, whenever the inside meditation is being prescribed, it is always criticized as selfish. So Theravada tradition, Theravada meditation is being criticized as no consideration about the society at large. It is talking about self-liberation. It is talking about here now I am condition. But the Buddha says, only by liberating yourself, you can understand things as they are, and then only you can think about the helping others towards their own liberation. So whenever you come up to the level of insight meditation, you keep on practicing mindfulness, keeping the mind in the present moment, not only suppressing the kind of obsession, kind of defilements, under the suppression of the obsession kind of defilement, you can see the world in a see-through manner. Not only you see through. Then only you can understand there is no second person causing pleasure and the unhappiness in our life. I am the very person who create this happiness and unhappiness. So therefore, whenever you come to the inside meditation, you become like an omniscient, omnipotent and omnipresent God. You are the creator of your own world. So when the Buddha was prescribing like this, everyone criticized thinking that he is talking in mystics. How can one become a creator? How can one create a own world? But we are in the modern life, and those who are learning the advanced physics or particle physics, they know, they teach, they preach, wherever you go, there you are. What you see, that you are. What you see is your mental image. What is your world is your own creation. So now the Buddhism and this modern science going to shake hand each other, and they explain what the Buddha explained 2600 years ago without any laboratory, without any equipment. What he did was, he purified his mind. He used the human mind as the laboratory and went into and plunged into it, explored into that, did the noble quest, experimenting, ultimately made these bold statements. Your world is created nothing but you yourself. So therefore, if your mind is more towards the well-being of the others, your creation will be very aesthetic, happy, and full of loving kindness and sympathy. But if you are thinking and working towards the ill will or destroying of others' well-being, your created world is full of wear and tear, full of friction, full of eerie sounds. So therefore, one has to take a serious decision, take the society as a mirror, see your image reflecting on the society, and make a determination, make a once and for all determination. Only thing, the only change we can do is wishing the well-being of the others. And as far as you are wishing the well-being of the others, you are protected. Because wishing the well-being of the others is the best definition for the religion. So being religious means not just cheating, not just acting, not just camouflaging yourself, at heart, wholeheartedly, as much as possible, forgive and forget, expect the well-being of the others, and ultimately, as far as you are protecting the society, society will protect you. So that is the way the meditators can interpret the same teaching of the Buddha. You who protect Dhamma will be protected by Dhamma. Dhamma protected, Dhamma protected. So therefore, you have to ask, have to wait and ask, what are the lacking things for me to protect Dhamma? Nothing lacking. Everything is there, but only the thing is they are not in the proportion. They are not well aligned. So your whole effort is to align them and consider. The Buddha has given some criteria and the guidelines. He says we must be happy. There's a reason to be glad that we are in the time where the dispensation of the Buddha is here. The teachings are living. And the second thing is, we are human beings. We can communicate. We can feel. We can imbibe the teaching of the Buddha. And the third aspect is, most of the human beings have many number of reasons to entertain inferiority complex. They have no proper organs. They have no fairly good health, physically and mentally. Many reasons. They are always thinking negative. But we are somewhat lucky. We have time. We can sit and listen to this kind of talks. We can contemplate upon. We can think about our future. We can consider the past and everything, so that physical and mental health is, for the moment, is beneficial for us. That is called the Kshana Sampatti. We get the opportunity, good opportunity. And on top of that, if you wish, you can be a monk and go to the forest and meditate. Or otherwise you can see, there are some, even though small fraction of the population, seriously take it up and set good role models in this life, even in Singapore. And then there are some teachings in terms of books, in terms of talks and discussions, and for the last 30-40 years, definitely in the uprise, increasing, accelerating. And the last one is the good noble friends. Not so rare. You can find here and there good noble friends. So Buddha finds these are the most difficult, precious thing. And considering each of us, we are so blessed, privileged to have all these things. And to lead a spiritual life, accepting moral conduct, accepting the concentration, training and conduct, accepting this wisdom conduct, we have all the facilities. Maybe we do not know. By talking and discussing, what we are going to do is appreciate them and put into work as much as possible, and ultimately when they gather the momentum, you are the one to get the benefits. It's a matter of time. So therefore, the basic motto, the basic notion is, Dhamma protects, the Dhamma protected. Dhammo ave rakhati dhammachari, Dhammo suci no sukhamavahati. He who take the habit of practicing Dhamma. So, always in my life, I take the practice of Dhamma as a hobby. I never take it as a regimentation. I never take it as a crucifixion. I try all the time the ways and means to incorporate Dhamma so that I can have a smiling face and take it easy kind of life. So then only you feel like associating it again and again. So therefore, the mindfulness, that is what I like it very much. Whenever the mindfulness comes, you never driven by the result-oriented kind of approach. You do whatever you have to do. Never have any expectation on result. So therefore, no tension. Dhammo suchinno sukhamavahati. So even you have not reached high status of Dhamma or high results, then and there you have the happiness, the peace of mind. Estani sansas dhammo suchinno. These are the here and now benefits for the practitioners. Dhammo have dhammachari, dhammo have rakkati dhammachari, dhammo suchinno sukhamavahati, etani sansa dhammo suchinno na duggatin gacchati dhammachari. He whoever protecting Dhamma will never go to the nether world. So that is how the young boy, the Prince Dharmapala, make a bold statement to his professor or the teacher. So it is a kind of a contentment. It is coming from out of this moral conduct, concentration training and the wisdom training. So do practice up to the capacity, and that is called Atta Kusala. He who have any kind of compassion to oneself, he who has any kind of a loving kindness to oneself, think about this moral training, concentration training and the wisdom training. That does not indicate you are not giving any attention to the economic, social and the political kind of worldly things. There, I think you are already there. You have already achieved. I have no doubts. More than your parents and more than your colleagues, you are well off. But it's a matter now, leisurely, consider about this spiritual life, incorporate little by little, and ultimately when it gathers the momentum, you are the one to live, I would say, not to trying to live, not dreaming to live. You become a person living, and that is what the Buddha wanted to share with all the other humanity. And not only that, he says, by living this kind of a spiritual life, you can take into the ultimate liberation also. So, whatever the Dhamma presently become popular is, that is giving the here and now pleasure. It's a kind of a justifiable pleasure here and now. So therefore, we are being driven by this result-oriented kind of life. So even in Dhamma, we have to find the kind of then and there results, and then gather the momentum to the ultimate goal. So even though you are not seriously meditating for the moment, my simple suggestion is try to be mindful. So therefore you have to spend hours and hours to define the term mindfulness, but it works. Or otherwise you can say be diligent, be vigilant, and then definitely not only that you are learning more and more about mindfulness, learning more and more diligence and developing kind of skills, and the best and the most conspicuous thing you will note is, you will get more and more spiritual friends. That's a very good sign. That's a very good accelerator. So whenever you become friendly to yourself, friendly to your well-being, you will meet more and more noble friends, and then the acceleration will take place. So therefore, the ultimate motto or ultimate theme of today's talk is Dhamma protects the Dhamma protector, and see how much or anything you are lacking for this kind of endurance. So my assurance is you all have nothing lacking. It is the simple matter of reminding and sharing with you all, and hope this part of Dhamma also will give you some solace and new way of thinking, and everything will lead to frictionless path and ultimately get the physical and mental protection. Thank you very much for listening. Sadhu, sadhu, sadhu. Before we have taken, I think, little more than 1 hour. So before the ending the session, I would like to ask if you have any question or any remark or any other topic, feel fit to discuss now. I am inviting you. Okay, since there are no questions, we are going to sum up, and we will share the merits, all what you have acquired during the day, to all the seen and unseen organized up to this point. And then we will share the merits with all the relatives, living and non-living. And finally, we will make a vow that may it leads to the clear view and the proper perspective in our life, and so that we will be refined more and more. With that idea, we are going to recite some Pali stanzas. That is usually traditional event in each and every meritorious deed in Sri Lanka. So those who know may follow, others may listen carefully. Ittavata jangammihi sambhatam punya sampadang sabbe devanumodantu sabba sampatti siddhya. Ittavata jangammihi sambhatam punya sampadang sabbe bhutanumodantu. Ittavata jangammihi sambhatam punya sampadang sabbe sattanumodantu. Siddhya akasattha ca bummattha devanaga mahiddhika punyantang anumoditva chirang rakkantu sasanam. Akasattha ca bummattha devanaga mahiddhika punyantang anumoditva chirang rakkantu desanam. Akasattha ca bummattha devanaga mahiddhika punyantang anumoditva chirang rakkantu mang param. Idang vo ñātīnaṁ hotu sukhitā hontu ñātiyo. Idang vo ñātīnaṁ hotu sukhitā hontu ñātiyo. Idang vo ñātīnaṁ hotu hontu ñātiyo. Imina punya kammena māmi bāla samāgamo satang thamāgamo hotu yāva nibbāna pattiya. Imina punya kammena māmi bāla samāgamo satang thamāgamo hotu yāva nibbāna pattiya. Imina punya kammena māmi bāla samāgamo satang samāgamo hotu yāva nibbāna pattiya. Sadhu, sadhu, sadhu. Sukhi hontu. Sadhu, sadhu, anumodami. Sadhu, anumodi tabbang. Sadhu, sadhu, anumodami. Kamami, kamitabbang. Sukhi hontu. Sukhi. Sukhi.